Welcome back to NBA Cinema. So today we have to talk about Jaylen Brown and Duncan Robinson getting into it. And we all know that the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics, they have a little rivalry going on. The underdog Miami Heat always find a way to give them and the Milwaukee Bucks, who are perceived favorites every year, a lot of trouble. And the physical play and the nature and the style that the Miami Heat play with, builds a little bit of an edge and makes enemies out of the other two teams that I mentioned. Well, today, the physical play took on a life of its own. Bam was called out for driving into the paint and hitting someone below the belt. And Bam has been called out a few times for stepping under players' foot, stepping on their ankles and different things like that. But the focus today is Duncan Robinson and Jaylen Brown. As we see this play right here on an inbound, Jaylen Brown felt like Duncan Robinson was holding on to his arm a little bit too long, and what he did to his arm could have caused serious injury. And so Duncan Robinson feels like now that Jaylen Brown is a dirty player, and Jaylen feels like what Duncan Robinson did was dirty. Now, typically, officials only see the reaction. Most of us only see the reaction because when the commotion starts, we see what the person does in response, because what the first player has done may have been so subtle that we just chalk it up to physical play, whereas Jaylen Brown was more demonstrative in his actions. Let's take a look at some of the live action.
With Boston. Robinson and Brown still getting into it. In the aftermath of this, 2 free throws is not enough for Duncan Robinson. I think that's what he's trying to say.
And right there, Duncan Robinson called Jaylen Brown a B and asked him what he was going to do. When you have something like that happen to you, your reaction is to protect yourself, forget the game of basketball. I have to show this guy across from me as a man that this will not be tolerated. Now, if you feel like Jaylen Brown's arm was tangled up and you have someone who's been pulling at you, grabbing your jersey, getting their arm up under you all night, a lot of times players are taught to do something to make them not reach in there anymore. A lot of coaches teach that, so that's not new. You take that one foul or that one flagrant, but the person will be reluctant to put their arm, their hands, whatever it was, where they have been putting it. So, I understand what happened there. It was an error in judgment, probably from both guys a little bit, but Robinson was being a bit physical using his length, but had his arm kind of tangled in Jaylen Brown. So Jaylen Brown clamps down on the arm, to make it very uncomfortable for Duncan Robinson. And that type of thing there could cost you a season as far as getting injured if he would have snapped that thing the right way. But both players, they spoke on this incident after the game, and we're going to listen to what they had to say.
Jaylen, can you take us through the issue with Duncan Robinson? It seemed like he was kind of holding on to your arm after he fouled you, and you just kind of threw him off. What happened, and are you okay with what went down and the flagrant?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I think it was no issue for me. I think he knew exactly what he was trying to do, trying to get tangled up, et cetera, because he didn't want to play defense. And, they called the foul, but he was still trying to hang on, so I was trying to get my arm free.
Joe said he liked the friction. And is there a point where you've got to, when guys are being a little bit overly physical with you, you've got to say, like, I'm not taking this anymore. Like, I'm going to have to force it myself?
Yeah, especially, Miami's known for, being physical. Miami's known for getting away with a lot of that stuff, kind of mucking up the game. And, at the end of the day, you got to protect and own your space. I feel like Duncan Robinson knew what he was doing there, trying to get tangled up and trying to draw whatever. I don't know what he was trying to do, but I bet you he won't do it again.
Yeah, I just thought it was a dirty play, to be honest with you. That's how people miss entire seasons. Knock on wood, obviously, but those types of plays, I mean, you've seen them before and throughout the history of the NBA. Guys suffer really bad injuries from instances exactly like that. So just thought it was dangerous, unnecessary, and excessive.
Now, of course, you will have both players on opposite sides of this argument because they're interpreting it with how it happened to them. Jaylen Brown feels like Duncan knew what he was doing and that he was just trying to get his arm free, whereas Duncan feels like Jaylen Brown was trying to snap his arm off. And you expect these type of things from the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics because this has been years of ongoing rivalry and physical play. One person who's been absent or was absent tonight was Jimmy Butler. He had a death in the family. And if you don't think Jimmy Butler is seeing this and that he's not going to talk to the guys about this, you're sadly mistaken. So this is fuel for them to get at least a play-in spot, try to play their way up, just like they do every year, and grind it out. Grind it out. Now, they don't have Kyle Lowry no more, and I feel like they would miss that because Kyle used to come up with some big plays. But I think, the Heat culture, they would challenge the Boston Celtics. Now, what do I think about that play? I think you see it in basketball all the time. And I also think that it could have really hurt Duncan Robinson. And I also think Duncan Robinson, when you lock up with somebody, you got to go all the way with it. You can't lock in there and leave your arm just kind of hanging and dangling because someone can really put you out for the season, man. You got to get up it tight in there where so if somebody's trying to rip your arm, y'all can at least start tangling. He kind of had his arm up in there, but just laying across Jaylen Brown where he could wrap it up like that. So I think, his physicality needs to change. And the way he plays physical, as far as like positioning himself to not be in harm's way, because not just Jaylen Brown, any player could have took his arm and did God knows what with it, the way he just had it dangling out there like that. So I think that's something for him to look at in the future and the way he embraces physical play. Miami is known for it, and I showed you that clip of Bam Adebayo because that was going viral during the game. I just didn't want to comment on this and let everybody enjoy the Super Bowl, which was great, by the way. Overtime, Patrick Mahomes, man, he's one of a kind, I tell you. But I just want to comment on this game. I got some more coming your way. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, peace.